News Special Report.
We want to bring you breaking news right now into the deaths of 8 patients at a nursing home in Hollywood. Let's go to this news conference taking place right now.
To activate our entire healthcare system to be able to take care of the patients from this rehabilitation center and be able to take care of them dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Irma as well. So today I'm going to introduce you to 4 very important people. We're going to start with Judy Frum. She's our Chief Nursing Officer for Memorial Regional Hospital, and she was one of the first responders who was at the scene working alongside with fire rescue and the police department. We also have Dr. Randy Katz, who is our Medical Director of Emergency Services for Memorial Regional Hospital and the ER physician on duty the morning of the event. And we're also going to introduce you to Seth Ross, who is our Chief Executive Officer for Memorial Regional Hospital and the incident commander at the time that the event happened. And we also have a family member. Her name is Vendetta Craig, and she will be talking from her experience. We took care of her mother here at Memorial Regional Hospital. So with that, we're going to start with Judy Frum, who is Chief Nursing Officer for Memorial Regional Hospital. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to just offer our condolences on behalf of the Memorial Healthcare System to those families that lost loved ones during this situation, this tragedy. I was actually manning the Memorial Healthcare System Command Center after Hurricane Irma when we received 3 patients in our emergency room early on Wednesday morning. The emergency room staff alerted our command center that 3 patients had arrived from Hollywood Hills with extraordinarily high temperatures. It kind of set off a red flag that something might be going on in the building. So I, along with another colleague who happened to be manning the command center, decided that we needed to take a walk over to see if we could offer our assistance. Being that Hollywood Hills is very close to us, we decided to take a walk to see if we could offer our support. When we walked over and arrived, there was already a Hollywood Fire Rescue on site tending to a patient that was critically ill inside the building. There was another rescue unit that had arrived that actually went into the building with us. When we arrived, there was many staff members inside Hollywood Hills trying to assist patients. The temperature in the building was very warm, and we saw patients that were compromised. So at that time, I wanted to sound the alarm, and with the hospital being right next to this facility, I knew that we could mobilize and get people over here in order to evacuate the facility. So we made the calls, we implemented our mass casualty protocols, and we were able to get people over here and help evacuate the patients that were in that building.
Thank you, Judy. We're going to turn it over to Dr. Randy Katz, who will speak a little bit about the emergency department that morning.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Randy Katz. I'm the Medical Director of Emergency Services at Memorial Regional Hospital. I arrived on scene here at the hospital approximately 7 a.m. shortly after this incident occurred. And luckily for us, that was the change of shift. We had a number of providers leaving the hospital and a number of providers coming into the hospital at the same time. Our staff, as Judy mentioned, recognized there was an issue across the street, had already mobilized our MCI, and a lot of our staff left the emergency department with stretchers and wheelchairs and other modes of transportation to get these patients to safety, to a place where they can get the health care and the services they need. We had a number of patients when I arrived in the street. We had a number of patients on stretchers en route to the hospital, and our emergency department staff did an unbelievable job at that point in the day, 7 o'clock in the morning, of getting together and making sure that these patients had all the things that they needed to avoid a disaster. Again, as Judy said, my condolences to the families of all of these patients. The scene on site when I got there was chaotic. Luckily, our first responders did a phenomenal job. Hollywood Fire Rescue had the scene controlled, started the mass casualty with our staff. We were able to label patients as red patients, yellow patients, green patients, and made sure that the most critical patients got to our emergency department immediately, and used our resources as a healthcare system here in Broward County to leverage our resources to get other patients out to our other facilities safely so that they could be reunited with their families.
going to introduce you now to Steph Ross, who is the CEO for Memorial Regional Hospital. And one of the biggest challenges, of course, that we always have in events like this is to reunify the families with the patients, but also to activate our emergency preparedness plans across a system of 6 hospitals here in South Broward County. And Mr. Steph Ross will speak a little bit about that.
As introduced, I'm Zeph Ross. I'm the CEO of Memorial Regional Hospital. And once notified by Judy Fromm, our CNO, with regard to the situation, I was fortunate enough to have the resources throughout the Memorial Healthcare system to go ahead and hit the button to have the disaster of a green alert called, which is in essence mass casualty incident. We were prepared for this, we drilled for this, and we had resources throughout the 6 hospitals within the system prepared within minutes to accept patients. There were approximately 141 patients at the facility. Memorial Healthcare System had 119 of these patients come into our facility, triaged here, and literally sent and transferred throughout the system to be cared for. 70 of the patients were discharged at this point, whether to other facilities or to their families' homes. We have 39 who are still admitted. We have approximately 24 who are still awaiting disposition. But one of the most important factors of what we accomplished was a reunification of the families. Patient-family-centered care is extremely important, and to be able to reunify and unite these families who had very little, if any, information at that time, and we did this without having a lot of the medical records or any of the information. And we were not only able to reunite all 141 and give the information needed with regard to all those patients, but we did that even with the patients' families who were out of state. I must tell you, I am extremely proud of what we were able to accomplish with the resources that we had and in the time frame that it was done. Again, our condolences go out to all the families. Thank you. Let me introduce, and I apologize, let me introduce Vendetta Craig, one of the patient's family members who experienced this.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vendetta Craig. My mother is Etna Jefferson. I received a call yesterday morning from first her nurse alerting me that she could not enter the building. I was sleeping, so I said, I'll check on it later. I then received a call an hour later from my friend in Tampa. She said, I don't want to alarm you, but I think you need to turn on CNN. The hospital that your mother is in, 5 people died. At that point, I turned the TV on and recognized this area immediately. I then called the nurse. When I called her, I heard, Catherine, where is my mother? She says, I'm looking for her. From that initial call and me putting on my skimpy clothes and coming to the hospital, these people were working hard. It took approximately, it seemed like a lifetime to me, maybe 20, 25 minutes before I saw my mother. They escorted me. It was like VIP. They've offered me anything and everything to comfort me, to comfort the families. I mean, God is here. God is here with all of us. And people were put in place at the right time to make sure my mother and all those who survived this unnecessary tragedy had everything that they needed in place. My mother had her IV in. She was ice packed. Her fever from 102 was down. I said her name, Etna Jefferson. She opened her eyes. She looked in my eyes. Oh my gosh, that was the best thing. That was the best thing that has ever came into my soul. She gave me life. And seeing her eyes gave me life yesterday. And to all the families who suffered the loss, you know, our hearts still are with you, our prayers. Trust me, I have a prayer line that goes from the East Coast to the West, and we're praying for everybody's safety and everybody's peace of mind. It's going to take a long time for us to get it back together, but we have support. God is touching all these people and backing me to make sure that we come out of this okay. It's going to take a while, but we'll be okay. Thank you all. Yes?
How upset are you that they had to go through this?
How upset am I? Before I left, they assured me that this is a hurricane shelter. Your mother will have the best care. I'm here 2, 3, 4 times a week. They know me. Everybody knows me. And they know how concerned I am. So for me to have that confidence in the staff to trust my mother's care in them, I'm extremely upset. I mean, words, you know, there are no words. It's unnecessary. You can spit on the hospital from this facility. I don't know what happened inside. I wasn't there. I hope the truth comes out. It's senseless.
What do you think should happen to the people that ran this nursing home? What should happen to them?
What should happen to them? Whatever the law allows, and then some. We throw our elderly away. They're a cash crop. It's not necessary. That's my mother, somebody's sister, somebody's father. They're not dollar signs. And that's what I feel happens a lot when people see, oh, she can't talk, she can't tell what I'm doing. My mother, she's unable to speak due to her condition. A lot of people are unable to speak. So they take advantage. And for those who take advantage of the weak, they need to have some empathy, some sympathy, and be prosecuted if they don't do what's right, do the right thing. Do the right thing. We all have parents. We all want, or we are our parents. We want proper care for the lives that we put out there. We need to be taken care of, especially our elderly. We wouldn't be here.
Ma'am, why do you think that the staff inside the nursing home didn't evacuate them here to the hospital? You said it was just a spit away.
Why? Maybe, I don't know. Why? Maybe, you know, you try different things. You, just like anybody, oh, this doesn't work, let's try this. This doesn't work, let's try this. And before you know it, time is of the essence, but it moves on. And you don't realize, oh my gosh. And you're running this way and then somebody calls you, okay, you go see that call. And then you're running this way and somebody calls you and you go take care of that call. And meanwhile, that first person that you were trying to see is gone unattended. They're short-staffed, period. That's what happens in these facilities. They try to put too many clients or patients under one person's care, under two staff members, and it's just too much. They do show them love, they do show them care when they can. It becomes overwhelming. Imagine this guy right here having to take care of all these people right here in 5 hours, 6 hours. It's almost impossible.
What do you want to say to the owner of this facility?
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Ms. Crick, you obviously said you've been here, you had some level of confidence, otherwise your mother would not have been in this facility. Did they ever go over an emergency plan, what they would do with you in an emergency? You said that they had some hurricane plan. What, if any, information like that was conveyed to you prior to you leaving your mother?
Well, I inquired. I asked. They assured me that they were going, I came on Thursday. They told me they were going to be on a lockdown after Friday. They had generators, blankets, food, everything that they could possibly need. This is a place where other hospitals come. This is what they told me. This is the place where other hospitals come when situations like this, when there's a storm. So I had confidence. Oh, this is a hurricane shelter? Bet. My mom is in the best place. Not the best. She's in a good place. That's what I thought. You know, we don't want to see another Hurricane Katrina, you know, things that happened there. That was my the whole week I was going through this emotional battle, what do I do with my mom? Do I take her? Do I leave her? If I take her, I need an ambulance. You know, I need a staff with me. Okay, God, you got me, God. Take care of her. Take care of her. It didn't come out as best as we hoped, but my mom's okay right now.
Ma'am, you knew this staff well over the years. This facility, they had several dead patients, critically ill patients. They didn't call 911. From what we can tell, they didn't ask for help. How do you square that with the staff that you know?
Okay, I've not been here for years. Let me correct you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My mother and I, because we're a team, we came in January.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so.
But you come here often, you visit her often.
All the time.
Right.
And so, I'm sorry, your question again?
Oh, how does this seem, they didn't call 911 when they had dead bodies and critically ill patients. It was these doctors and nurses who had basically discovered it. Does that square with the kind of staff that you know? Does that make sense given?
No, it doesn't make sense. And like many companies, during these situations like this, you modify your staff, you reduce your staff, you bring in the essential personnel or just the amount of people you need to get you through. Maybe they didn't have their top people in there. I don't know. It's who's to say? There's the people who are there during the storm, and then there are the people who are there after the storm. You know, it's 48, 72 hours of nonstop. You're up on your feet. Maybe it was exhaustion that didn't allow them to call 911 as soon as we all would hope. Fortunately, somebody got the idea to walk over and say, hey, let me check out these peeps across the street. Things work. God put people in places. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. What's to happen to these people over here? The owners, if they are found at fault, at guilt, at whatever, for all the families involved, let them to the fullest extent of the law. Fullest extent.
I want to also open any questions that you guys may have from a healthcare perspective. Spanish speaker.
Vendetta, could you spell your name and how old your mom is?
It's Vendetta. My mother's 87 years old.
Where do you live?
I live in Miramar.
Your last name?
Craig, C-R-A-I-G.
Judy, can we get Judy, please? Get Judy up for a second, just so from that perspective. From you and the ER team's perspective and the great work you did out here, can you give us some idea of the patients that you saw, and we're not asking you to violate any HIPAA rules here, that the condition they were in, the heat exposure that they had undergone, can you give us some time indication about how long you thought that those places may have been exposed to?
Yeah, I don't think I can comment on how long they've been like that or what their temperatures were. I could tell you that there were patients that were critically ill. There were patients that were not living any longer that were upstairs on the second floor when we entered the building. So there were a number of very, very sick patients there, and there were a number of patients that appeared dehydrated, appeared in respiratory distress. So as far as time frames and temperatures, I couldn't give you exact figures. But for the most part, there were a number of very, very sick people there. Visually, you can see that they were sick.
How many are still in critical condition, roughly?
I can't comment on that. I don't know.
Yes.
By all accounts, a lot of people didn't sound the alarm. You went in there and you did sound the alarm. What did you exactly see?
When I initially walked in the door with my colleague as well as fire rescue, we saw a bunch of staff, and they were extraordinarily stressed and panicked, trying to move patients into there was a room right beyond the nurse's station on the first floor that had fans blowing. They were really trying to get patients moved to those areas. So that's initially what we saw when we went in.
And the patients themselves, how did they look?
They looked like they were dehydrated. Some of them looked compromised. It was a situation where we knew we had to get those patients evacuated.
And when we talk about extreme temperatures, just because they're not doctors, when we talk about extreme temperatures, what are we talking about?
I don't know the exact temperature in that building, but it was very hot. We walked in and it was definitely very hot.
And the body temperatures? I mean, I know just.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, we were laying hands on people. They were very warm, but I don't know what their body temperatures were at that time.
Judy, what time did you actually enter the facility?
I don't know the exact time, but it was sometime, I think, around after 5 a.m.
Judy, you deal with emergencies on a regular basis.
Yes.
What did this staff do wrong?
I can't speak to that. When I walked in the door, the staff was doing everything humanly possible to move those patients to a cooler area.
Ask them why they didn't just
No, I didn't. At the time, my focus was the patients and helping that staff.
Was that area with the fan, was that the only spot that you saw that was sort of trying to be?
That was the only spot I saw.
How many staff members were there?
I don't even know. There was quite a few that were trying to help.
The patients that were in there, or were they mainly dementia patients?
I have no idea.
Dr. Katz, how many patients are still critical in your care?
I can't give you an exact number as far as the number of critical care patients there are, but there were a number of patients that were ill, critically ill, when they came into the emergency department, and we know that we've lost 5 patients since then.
We have 39 who are still admitted.
Judy, was this throughout the entire building? We've heard obviously about the second floor, but when you entered on the first floor, what was your initial impression about the temperature and the circumstances of those people there?
I felt it was an extreme situation that we had to get people out.
Dr. Katz, you would have had 30 more minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. Could you have saved those 5 other patients?
I can't speculate on that. I could tell you that as soon as we recognized an issue, our healthcare institution and our emergency department, we practice for this. We've been through a number of MCIs over the past 10, 15 years that I've been here. So we were ready, and when we were called, we mobilized all of our staff. We initiated an MCI. We had everybody labeled and transported within an hour or two. So, as far as, the time frames, I don't know exact numbers, and I can't tell you what would have happened 30 minutes before, but I could tell you that Fire Rescue did an amazing job recognizing the issue. They were the ones that brought it to our attention. When they came in, the first patient at 3 a.m. and said, or 4 a.m., I don't know exactly, what was said because I wasn't there, but they did bring it to our attention. We brought it to our command center, and that's when Judy took it upon herself to walk over herself and decide, I'm going to take this into my own hands and see what's going on over there. And that's when we activated the MCI.
Is this the largest MCI the hospital's ever dealt with?
I believe so.
Judy, you said you got over there roughly 5.
I believe. I really can't be
About
sure.
how much time elapsed from when you first got that alert that there were 3 patients that had been brought in and going over there?
Actually, as soon as we were notified at the command center that patients arrived to our emergency room with these high temperatures, we made the decision, Tracy and I in the command center, to take a walk over to find out what was going on. And of course to offer our assistance.
We're gonna take for 2 more questions. If you guys have any more questions.
Can you give the spelling of the mother's name? That's like correct, the mother's name.
Excuse me?
Your mother's spelling?
The spelling of my mother's name? Edna Jefferson? Jefferson? Edna? E-D-N-A. Jefferson. J-E-F-F. And then I'll give you the rest later.
How old's your mom?
She's 87.
Where is she?
Where? In the best place possible. Yes. Are you playing with me? Oh, it's Vendetta.
Thank you everyone so much for coming here. I'm just going to say just a couple of things in Spanish for the Spanish speakers.
Okay, you've been watching a news conference on the deaths of 8 patients at a nursing home in Hollywood. The victims were discovered at the Rehabilitation Center, Hollywood Hills, in the aftermath of Hurricane Irma. Now, we heard from the chief nursing supervisor, the emergency room doctor, and the CEO at Memorial Regional Hospital. We also heard from Vendetta Craig, whose 87-year-old mother is a patient at the facility. She says she wants whoever is responsible for the deaths of these 8 patients, elderly people, to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We, of course, will have complete coverage on CBS 4 News coming up on CBS 4 News at 4 o'clock, followed by CBS 4 News at 5. For now, I'm Elliot Rodriguez. I want to bring you back to regular programming.